Welcome to Read It or Leave It, ... What's important about these particular videos is I'm going to be doing a brief synopsis of the books that I scammed through yesterday at Barnes & Nobles. So first up is Friday Black by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah. I hope I said your name right, sir. It's basically a collection of short stories. I haven't read all of them, but the one I did read, which I'm going to look up on my phone right now because I want to give you that information. The Hospital Where, page 67. I read that whole particular chapter. It was amazing. It basically entailed a supernatural being giving powers to a writer of some age. I don't remember exactly what age the character was, but basically the story goes, the character has to take his father to a hospital because his arm is hurting, right? And he's not too thrilled about going because he kind of just wants to write and stuff like that. So there's a dynamic between son and father. I believe the character is a boy. I could be totally wrong about that. Maybe I misread that. But the important thing to know is that the supernatural being is a female and has written Roman numerals on the person's back once they accepted this ability to do magical stuff. At the very end, it's only to the very end that you know exactly what this person is doing that is so magical. There's nothing magical unless you're talking about the Roman numerals burning in that person's skin, which they always complain about throughout the whole thing. And I don't know if the supernatural being is good or bad, but what's important is that at the very end, the character sees all these people like suffering in these different parts of the hospital, and they're not getting father's not getting any help seeing a doctor. So what the person winds up doing is writing that everyone will be healthy from now on, and you can go home. And the father's like, what the fuck did you do? Like everyone starts flying. Basically, everyone starts leaving the hospital and flying all over the place. It's a very interesting story within itself, so I'm looking forward to read the other short stories as well. They're supposed to delve into America and all the ills of America through the voices of I guess, non-white characters, you can say. So it seems like an amazing short story anthology. I don't know if that's the proper term for it, but it seems like a beautiful read. I would definitely love to go back and just purchase it next time and just keep it, because it's just one of those books where even when you touch the cover of it, it's like, wow, that's amazing, right? And it's literally like maybe this big. It's really cool. It's really pocket friendly, I guess, if you have big pockets. Okay. The next book I really want to show you is a scary one. This one's called A Head Full of Ghosts. It's a novel. It's by Tremblay. Okay, and on the very top of the book that I'm looking at, it says that there's a recommendation from Stephen King and how Stephen King was like scared to read it. So I was like, all right, I like Stephen King, so let's go ahead and read it. So the story is basically about a sister. It's two sisters. One of the sisters being interviewed by this famous, famous interviewer or something like that. And the family was originally part of this, I guess you can say reality TV show, where they were covering paranormal activity. It turns out that the sister might have had just schizophrenia, and she was imagining these ghosts and things of that nature. But it seems like the book is hinting that those things were actually real paranormal occurrences that happened in that particular house. So that the book starts off with the younger sister kind of narrating through her life and through her point of view of what happened. And I only read about maybe 10 to 20 pages while I was in Barnes & Nobles, which is kind of cool. I didn't think I would read that much. But yes, it's one of those books where I would definitely recommend if you're interested in that. And I don't know, Stephen King wrote off on it, so if you like Stephen King's work, you might as well read Paul Tremblay's book soon. So yeah, read that. It's good stuff. I definitely want to look at that. Okay, switching gears a little bit. I found this other book. It's called Freedom's Detective, The Secret Service, the Ku Klux Klan, and the Man Who Masterminded America's First War on Terror, by Charles Lane. So, listen, I was a little skeptical about this book. I'm like, is this like another like ode to like, well, here's a white guy who did something great, we gotta like trump him up. I kind of had that feeling. Also, the character the picture that's on the book looks like Nicolas Cage, so that also caught my attention. I'm like, Freedom's Detective, Nicolas Cage, what is this? But I guess it looks like his doppelganger, basically. That's just my opinion of it. But long story short, I read through it. I read some reviews too while I was online just checking out what the book exactly was about. Turns out this dude was like 50-50. He was a CIA mastermind, basically. He was not CIA, Secret Service. I don't know if those two are connected. But yeah, we're going to have to Google that. But my point is, or what I'm trying to share with you, is that he was kind of like the first dude on the scene who actually infiltrated these terrorist organizations. And it's nice that they're referring them as terrorist organizations because that's exactly what they are. Or especially during this time. This was during like the late 1800s, after Civil War, you could say during the Reconstruction era. The dude does not have a pretty background. It seems the book suggests or might gloss over some of his prior incidences. The author is not really too descriptive as far as what exactly this person did was wrong or bad, but he does suggest that this person might not have been the best person in the world. But then again, what is the best person in the world? And also, if he is the mastermind of taking down, or at least eradicating for the most part until he died, the Ku Klux Klan terrorist organization, then how bad is he? Yeah, everyone has faults, everyone's not perfect, but I don't know, it seems like an interesting read. I would love to read the whole thing. It seems like a very interesting story. By all means, see if that's interesting to you. It's written in a quasi-historical / novel. It has those elements of both worlds, creative fiction and creative. I guess you could say it's creative nonfiction, or biography. I don't know how you want to put it, but it's really interesting so far. I skimmed through it. There's pictures in there too of the dude. But yeah, it's interesting stuff. You should definitely check that out if you're interested. Hopefully the guy's good. If not, I hope that the writer was as authentic, as unbiased as possible about this person's past, present, and past, basically, because he's dead. But, I don't know, looks like something worth reading. Okay. I don't know the guy's political motives or anything from the book, but if I were to take it as a Puerto Rican, non-white reader, I don't know why I'm just putting myself in those two boxes. I'm sure there's more intersectionalities that I could probably... Anyway, moving on. We are moving to something that I discovered maybe like a year ago. I don't know, I'm making up dates here, but my point is it's the story called Pan's Labyrinth. The Labyrinth of the Faun, which, if you're familiar, this is by Guillermo Toro and Cornelia Funke. I hope I said their names right. But I think this was like a short, like a movie or something like that. And I believe I always wanted to see it, but never got the chance to see it. So now I see the book, and I'm like, oh my god, I love the artwork. I know the person who made the monsters in the movie too. I think I watched a documentary on that, and that's how I found out about Guillermo del Toro. So that's why I was like, oh man, this looks really good. I want to see that. So it storytelling looked fun too. I didn't really get to read too much of it, but I was just mesmerized by the illustration alone. So that's a book I'm looking forward to reading, and maybe you could read with me. Last but not least is a book by Mark Booth. It's called The Illustrated Secret History of the World. Now, I'm not like one to like bullshit. I am the one to look up like books based on symbolism and history. Like, I get sucked into that world really easily, and plus I have done research in that particular area for a project many moons ago. But the important thing is that this is an illustrated version. The original version is just all text-based. It has some graphics in there, but it's really like a dense read to kind of go through. It's kind of reading like a Master Game by Graham Hancock and Robert Duvall. That's a great book. If you just want to get some historical context about religious symbols or just... that book specifically talks a lot about architecture and people who influenced America, or just, it goes into that whole realm of like secret societies and stuff like that. And since this is the called Secret History of the World, those two kind of come together at the end. How much of it's true, how much of it's accurate, you always got to go back and forth with each source, so that's totally up to you. But I would definitely recommend it. It has a lot of images that you can just research yourself. You could spend years researching all these particular things. There's other books too that you can check out too on this matter. So don't just feel yourself. Don't feel like you're just limited to Mark Booth. Just look at everything. Then compare and contrast what different cultures might think about certain symbols. And even though I'm going very nerdy on you right now, those are my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 book recommendations of this particular week. I will be back every week to tell you about any new books that I'm thinking about reading. And if I do complete the book, you'll be the first to know. So thank you so much for dealing with this almost 11-minute video. Defend the sacred. And also just be kind to each other. That's all. That's my message for the week. May you keep reading and have a great rest of the week.